Human Vengeance. Chapter 17. Touring the station. After several hours of rest, our diplomats gathered again. They started a write-up of the events of the first meeting, from both memory and the recordings Wolf had made. Whilst it was only a start, they would have plenty of time to finish it on the way home. But for now, they made a note of their initial thoughts. Soon enough, they returned to the docking bay. They were met by their assigned soldiers, taking up their former positions. Thus prepared, they exited the ship again, to be met by the same group of aliens. Genev greeted them warmly by name, keeping its mouth in a flat line. "It is good to see you again, Natasha, Audit, Anne, Joshua, Samuel, and Tracy. I trust you rested well?" Natasha smiled, extending a hand. Genev paused for a moment, obviously trying to remember what this meant. After a beat, it clapped, before grasping her offered hand in its own. "We did thank you, Genev. I'm glad to see you have all returned to give us a tour. This place fascinates us." One of the Haipal, Lopal chattered, its musical voice filling the air. "It is a marvel, isn't it? We have Humunzun to thank for the design, one of the greatest Quellan minds to exist. I'm sure their great-grandchildren would be thrilled to talk to you about it. It's quite a source of pride for them." Tracy cleared her throat, genuine curiosity surrounding her words. "Are we going to meet them today? I, for one, would love to." Genev clapped its hands again. At this point, we knew it was how they showed agreement, in place of a nod. "Of course, that can be arranged. We plan to show you a few of the various species-specific areas, along with communal zones. As one is going to the Gith-side Quellan habitat, I'm sure we can meet one of them there." Tracy smiled widely, eager to meet with one of them. She had a hobbyist's interest in engineering, one which was proving useful on this venture. Natasha nodded to her before focusing back on Genev. "Well then, lead the way." They had started in an unallocated section. As they went through, it was explained how each half had multiple empty spokes. It had been designed for there to be 24 species to have their own area on each end. This one was currently empty, though Havab pointed out with a grating laugh. "It probably won't be for long, with it being the one you are attached to." It was met with polite laughter as they made their way through. It was large enough to have a tram system inside, allowing faster transportation within. There were countless empty living units, along with commercial districts. A few sections were empty holes, which Audit was quick to ask about. "What's meant to go here?" Havab gestured to the hole, mouth flattening. "Ah, this is a nature zone. Somewhere to put your native plant life, for enjoyment." Audit nodded in understanding. "I see. I assume we would be able to get some of our wildlife in as well, to keep the life cycle going. But of course, it's important to keep them healthy." The group continued onwards, having a look at the various places. Finally, they approached a dedicated pod system based on the outside. It resembled a train car, but with clear seals around the door. Darsiv, the bionic-eyed Siva, let everyone take a seat before addressing everyone. "Please be aware that we are moving to a separate sector, that of the Jumnio. They are particularly different from yourselves, but you may enjoy seeing how we can adapt such places to the needs of the race that resides there." After hearing a murmur of agreement, he tapped a display. The pod shook for a brief moment before lifting into the air. It smoothly entered a tunnel, accelerating quickly. Part of the black exterior disappeared, letting them view the stars outside the station and the various ships. Soft music played in accompaniment as they watched the void outside. Soon enough, it vanished again as they began to slow. It came to a graceful halt in a busy station. Most of the beings there were large tubular shapes. They were various shades of yellow, with skin covered in a form of ooze. The skin sagged, looking far too big for the body. As they watched, one particularly saggy one's hide tightened as a pseudopod formed to pick up a bag by its body. The fuzz of thin, hair-like structures gently moved around, its way of feeling the place around it. Genevieve broke the silence, voice loud in the otherwise quiet pod. "Welcome to the Jumnio sector. They are welcoming, but they don't tend to talk much." With that, it tapped a panel by the door, allowing it to open. Instantly, the silence was replaced with quiet, squelching voices and what sounded like balloons being rubbed as they slid over a rough floor. It took a moment, but gradually, attention focused on the group. Natasha suppressed a small shiver as the Jumnio studied them. It was an involuntary reflex, one she was embarrassed to have. A glance showed her companions showing similar signs of discomfort, ones that were quickly wiped away. Consciously, they knew that these were potential allies, far above the pests back on Earth. But their subconscious was harder to convince. Still, after steeling herself, she gave a small wave, which was returned a couple of seconds later as dozens of pseudopods emerged and waved back. Human Vengeance. Chapter 18. The Jumnio sector. Genevieve led the way from the pod, walking a bit slower than normal. It was soon clear why, as the Jumnio were not exactly fast beings. Moving through the crowd would take time as they slowly made a path. As they moved, Tracy inspected the floor. Whereas the previous sector was mostly smooth, this had a multitude of small bumps and ridges. It was very reminiscent of dirt, something that struck her as curious. "Lopal, why is the floor like this? Would it not make more sense to have it smooth?" The high pale chittered, bobbing its body up and down. "To you, maybe, but the Jumnio has difficulty on such terrain. As you can see, they have little in the way of grip, so we modified the ground to be more suitable for them. You will see further that they do not have steps here either, using ramps to ascend and descend instead." She nodded in understanding as the group slowly managed to exit the station. It was easier to move around out here, the crowds thinner. They still drew attention, but rather than stopping and staring, the Jumnio watched for a moment before returning to their activity. The buildings here had smooth edges with rounded doors. As before, Genevieve let the group on a tour. Most shops sold decorative items, with a mix of form and function. The Jumnio were happy to have guests come in. They noticeably kept quiet, letting the group peruse their wares. None were purchased, but each seller was happy either way. After the fourth such shop, Anne spoke up. "There aren't many places to eat, it seems. From what we were told, they eat decaying matter. Is this right?" "We do indeed," a wet voice piped up, interrupting Dursel as it opened its mouth to answer. The group turned to a slightly larger than the rest Jumnio, a small ridge of spines on its head. "Excuse my interruption, I am Mebcup, one of the societal leaders here. I was hoping to catch you. Strange visitors." Dursel took point, holding out one of its hands. Its 6 fingers moved in an undulating line, which was soon copied by Mebcup, with a few small pseudopods. "It's a pleasure to see you here, Mebcup. I was wondering if you would appear. I know this has happened quickly." Mebcup formed a pseudopod, waving it through the air. "We are used to your speed, you know this. Am I right in guessing this is the human delegation you mentioned?" Dressel clapped. "Indeed, they are." Mebcup waved its pseudopods again in the undulating wave. Thinking fast, Natasha copied with her hands, earning an approving look from the Sci-Varg. "Welcome to our little home amongst the stars, humans. If we had more time, we would arrange for a proper greeting. But this will have to do for now." Natasha smiled, nodding. "I understand. This has happened very suddenly. When we next come back, we will be sure to give plenty of warning ahead of time for our 2 species to formally meet." Mebcup gurgled, unmistakable laughter despite the cultural gap. "Indeed. One of you asked about food. We do not sell food to each other, as we believe it is a shared commodity. Instead, we have serving hatches for the generous supply provided by the rest of the station. We understand some get a bit squeamish about our food, So they are slightly off the main paths. Anne copied Natasha's hand movement, drawing attention to her. I see. Thank you for explaining. It is certainly different from what we know. Mebcup gurgled again. I'm sure it is. It slowly turned, beckoning them. Come, let me answer your questions. I'm sure the others could use a rest from talking. It led them away, talking about their culture. It explained how they always work together, with each working for the good of the whole. It spoke of their history, talking freely of their highs and lows, their prides and deepest shames. It showed them different types of its people. Most were normal workers, but here and there were others. Some sported spines like it, marking it as a leader. Others were noticeably smaller than the rest, with orb-like growths. They were called thinkers due to an enlarged brain. As they went towards a pod station, Mebcup pointed out a final type to them. It was much larger than the rest, and was being escorted by a group of 7 workers. She is one of the brood mothers. It's very rare for them to go out, but when they do, they are always escorted. They are the heart of our race, the mothers of us all. If she is out, she has likely just given birth. They watched her go by, noticing how a path was made for her. She was royalty to them. Mebcup watched her for a moment before turning back. Anyway, I have kept you long enough. You should go to your next stop. I do hope to meet with you all again. You are a strange race, but I like you. With that, it bid them goodbye, leaving them to find a waiting pod. The group piled on, and it rose again. Genevieve clicked a few times as it set off. I hope you enjoyed that little insight. Our other stop is that of the Quellan. One of Humanzun's descendants will be meeting with us there, as well as good Captain Switzel. She is most eager to see you again, and has become somewhat of a celebrity there now. I will warn you that you will be much more of a center of attention there.